Just a second here. Yeah, it looks like it's actually going to go across.
Looks like we're live.
All right. This meeting is being live streamed. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mary Sloan, and I want to welcome you to another episode of Inspirational Influencer News, People Making a Difference. And my guest this afternoon is Amy Todisco, who certainly is someone who is making a difference. She has been a Build Your Best Life coach for over 14 years. She's also a nationally recognized green living expert, an early pioneer in the green living movement, who is recently featured on HGTV. She's the technical editor of the book Green Living for Dummies and co-author of the Amazon bestseller, You Make a Difference. In the summer season, she leads unique experiential food and farm tours and personal growth and wellness retreats. As a matter of fact, I know she's got a couple coming up this year. Year-round, she empowers, inspires, and nurtures people, primarily women, in the next chapter of their lives to go from who they think they are to who they are meant to be. And we are just blessed to have her with us. And so tell us, Amy, what is the most interesting transformation that you remember that you've had with some of the women in your life?
Oh my goodness. Well, there's one that stands out in a huge way from the first retreat that I did 8 years ago, which the retreat, we're actually going to do one this summer in August, but the retreat that we're doing this summer is very much the same as the one I did 8 years ago with some added features. But this one woman was a female veteran. And when she started the program, she was an alcoholic. And she talks about this in a documentary that was made. So I know I'm not, just giving any information that I shouldn't be. And so not that I did anything specific to address the alcohol issue, but through the course of this program, between the mindfulness practice, the work with horses, which was just incredibly powerful for her and the others, working on the farm as far as, planting and seeding and weeding. Weeding was such a joy for these folks, just to de-stress and to put your hands in the soil. And there's actually a health benefit from that, besides being outdoors, getting the vitamin D and fresh air. But when you put your hands in a live soil, which is what you would get on a sustainable farm that's actually feeding the soil, which means then it has microorganisms in it. When you put your hands in that soil and you breathe some of that, it actually triggers a serotonin response in the brain. That's that happy hormone. So that's kind of a neat little fun fact you can share with people.
That's interesting. So as a result,
finish the story, right? So as a result of this experience, thank you, she stopped drinking, and she is still sober 8 years later.
Wow,
that attributes that to that retreat. She said she'd actually been in an inpatient VA program for, I forget how long it was, but she said she got so much value out of that experience, and also just the connection to the non-veteran women, because one of the things I was hoping to create for them was a way to feel more connected back to society, because that's something that is a big challenge for veterans. And so at first they were a little bit skeptical about whether having non-veteran women there too was going to work for them, but they actually realized that it was even better, because then they had a bridge back to, civilian life in a much better way.
So is veterans something like a group of people that you work with on a regular occasion, or was this something?
No, it was just that first one. The whole kind of inspiration for creating the retreat came through a conversation that I had with this man who has a nonprofit called Pathways for Veterans out in California. And originally he was going to buy my online gardening course to use for the female veterans that he was working with. And through our conversations, I decided I can do way better than selling you a gardening program. How about I create an in-person retreat? It's like, oh, that would be amazing. So that was my first sort of pilot study, I guess you could say. And then after that, no longer was I focusing on veterans. I realized that there were so many challenges that veterans are feeling that it was kind of beyond the scope of where I wanted to go with the retreat. So it was wonderful for that first season, but now it's just, regular women who are looking to, take the next step in their life, new chapter, transition, really, powerful transformation experience.
But it would be pretty great for a veteran to join that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Just.
And in fact, yeah, the work with the horses that we do was based on the work of a man by the name of Monty Roberts. And he's one of the horse whisperers. I guess there's a few of them. And he still does work with veterans, actually, helping them heal from the experiences in the military. And he also works with corporate people. But the whole process that he designed is called Join Up. And you spend time in a round pen with a horse, and in my case, with my wonderful horse trainer, horse whisperer friend, Peggy. And she helps the person direct that horse around the outside of the circle and move them back, right to left, so that they're not choosing which way that they go, that the person is choosing. And after a period of time, and it's different for every horse, that horse will start to show symptoms that it really wants to be in the middle with you. It wants to be part of your herd. They don't like to be on the outskirts, because in horse world, that means that they're susceptible to being eaten or attacked by predators. So it's just sort of instinctively built into them. So at that point, when you see the signs where they drop their head and they're licking and chewing, then you turn around and you put your back to them and you drop your hands, because you've had a lead rope in your hand to spin it to get them to move. You drop and you relax, and then you wait for them to come and decide whether they want to join up with you. And I've not seen one not do it. So you'll feel this breathing on the back of your neck, and then you turn around and you pet them and you congratulate them for coming over and being a part of your herd. And then there's this incredible bond. So you can walk around that ring and that horse is going to follow you. And that's without any lead rope or halter. It's pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
It's just so interesting, having spent the time I've spent with horses. I've had many horses on lead ropes, and horses that I had on lead ropes without lead ropes, because they were used to being lunged, and I had horses that I actually could point them to jumps if I wanted them to jump without me having to jump on them.
Wonderful.
With them and
yeah.
go there, and they're amazing animals.
Absolutely. Well, and one of the things that I love about them and why I integrated them into these programs is because they are really like a mirror for us. They help us understand how we show up to the world. And so, because in their world, they're reading body language, they're reading the cues in their environment, because they need to stay safe. So if one horse is on alert, then they're all on alert, because they realize something's going on. So in the case of working with humans, they can sense your blood pressure rising and falling, and your breathing, your heart rate. They can really kind of sort of telepathically know what you're thinking. And so what's been fascinating is when I've seen women who have a lot of stuff, thoughts going through their mind, they can't just relax. Oftentimes the horse will walk to the other end of the round pen, like, okay, I'm not really feeling comfortable with you right now. And so there's all kinds of neat things that people learn about themselves through working with horses. Amazing. All on the ground.
So is that part of almost every retreat that you have with people?
It is. It's kind of like one of the signature pieces of the event. Yeah.
And the horse is brought by another person, did you say?
Well, so we go to a barn where the horses are. And so it doesn't take place on this farm. We're an organic vegetable and fruit farm. So yeah, we go to the horse barn.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So what else do you do in your retreats?
So we do a mindfulness practice, which basically can be something like eating a strawberry, but doing it from a totally different perspective. Instead of like, oh yeah, strawberries, I've had them for my entire life. This time we're eating a strawberry as though it's the first time you've had it. And you're, very slowly taking a bite, and you're feeling the textures, and you're smelling the scent and tasting the different flavors of it in it tastes incredibly different than when you're just kind of mindlessly eating, right? And another favorite mindful activity would be walking in nature. And oftentimes I have people do that silently and then bring a journal and take notes and observe things. And again, with that sort of childlike view. And it's amazing how you can tune into your body and learn so much more about yourself when you're being mindful. For example, we have stone steps in front of our house, and I was being mindless one day, right at the beginning of the pandemic, in fact, was bringing the little dog back from going to the bathroom, and I didn't pay attention, and I tripped and I twisted my ankle on the deck and fell, and I broke my ankle. And I've never broken a bone before. So I was like, now every time I go up and down those stairs, you can bet that I am paying incredible attention to where my feet are going.
Yes, mindfulness. I mean, we do so many things mindlessly, I think.
Exactly.
And to really get mindful, and I can see how it would be really helpful for people with addictions, because a lot of the addiction is really mindless. You know, they they feel the urge and they do it without actually even contemplating that.
Agreed. And also, I think a lot of times the addiction is a way to escape from whatever is going on in life. And so, you know, it's a distraction in many ways, because they don't want to deal with whatever the emotions are that might be coming up that they're trying to manage through whatever the substance is.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, other things that we do are, you know, like I said, working on the farm a little bit, planting things. We go to this hydroponic greenhouse and learn all about hydroponic growing, which is all done in water. We go for a hike. We have a bonfire. We have pizza in our pizza oven one of the nights. We swim in the river. We're going to have a really amazing sound healing experience at night. And this woman comes with, you know, these different healing bowls and all kinds of neat stuff. I can't remember exactly all the different things that she plays, rattles, and it is so incredibly powerful. So there's a lot of, and then we'll do some life coaching group stuff. And everybody that comes to the retreat will actually get an hour life coaching session after they get home. Because one of the things that I realized was, you know, we can go to retreats and have these powerful experiences, and then we get home and it's kind of like, oh, how do I integrate that into my life? So my friend Margie, who's doing the August retreat with me, and I are going to be doing a one-on-one with each of the individuals, just to keep things going and get the momentum to continue once they leave.
That's great. Do they come with any kind of intention in mind, or just to kind of get away? And
I think it's probably different for each person, but ultimately they're looking to, you know, sort of refresh, restore, maybe tune in more deeply to themselves. Ideally, they're looking to make some changes. Maybe they want to change careers. Maybe they're in a relationship transition, stepping into some other chapter of their life that's different than what they've been doing. So it will really help. And, you know, of course, being a build your best life coach, I'm all about helping people build their best life, whatever that looks like. So that's typically what the focus would be.
That's great. So I know there's another aspect of training that you do with people a lot that has to do with visioning and vision boards. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? That would be great.
Absolutely. Yes. So I developed this. It's a free virtual vision board experience. And actually the next one is coming up Saturday, May 21st at noon Eastern. And it's about 2 hours long. And it's been so much fun. I've done 3 so far. And so basically, and I think most people know what vision boards are, but in case you don't, it's really a collage of images and words that are articulating what dreams you have for your future. And I like to do them sort of 1 year at a time. So one vision board, and then I would refresh it the next year. And we do all kinds of interesting experiential stuff to kind of prepare you to put your vision board together. And so people will get started and they can either have the supplies with the poster board and cut out magazine pictures and words, or now we can do it online. So people can go to Pinterest or Canva and make an online version. But one thing that's super key about doing a vision board is you want to be able to see it every day. And the most important time to see your vision board is 45 minutes before you go to bed, because it's kind of programming your subconscious mind. And so it's really great to focus on, all those different goals that you have articulated. And that can be on, if you have health goals, if you have relationship goals, career goals, money, travel, anything that brings you joy. I mean, actually, Dave, my partner, and I have done a combined vision board together. Instead of me doing my own and him doing his own, he decided he really wanted to do one with me. And we have so many goals in common that it just made great sense. And so we have all these really beautiful pictures, because one of our goals is traveling in the wintertime, because as much as we love Vermont, we don't love being in the cold. So we want to go someplace warm, or some places warm. And so we've got different images on there. And one really important tip that I always tell people is that whatever you put on your vision board, you want to make sure that it really feels good to you. And if for some reason it doesn't, take it off and put something else on. And using the words "this" or "something better" is really important, because sometimes we think we want something, but there's actually something better out there for us. We're just not quite aware of it yet. So I love to use that phrase, "this or something better."
Oh, that's great. So you actually have people find pictures and put it on with
Yes.
With some deliberate thought and comment.
Yep.
Again,
Yep.
mindfulness.
Right, mindfulness. And so I do a creative visualization exercise, and we do some other exercises to help kind of get into that mindset of, what do I really want? And even beyond, what do I want? What will getting that thing do for me? So let's say you want to make 6 figures or 7 figures, whatever it is. What will that money allow you to do that you're not already doing? So it's kind of beyond just goal setting. It's really, again, with the mindfulness, being more mindful of, what does that mean for me? What does that do for me? How is that going to improve my life?
Yeah, the big thing that I hear about a lot of what you do is really the mindfulness thing. And I can see how incredibly important it is, and how I can speak personally, how much of my time it's spent, running from appointment to appointment, sort of mindlessly. Sure. Going, oh, I gotta go here, gotta go there, gotta do this, gotta do that. And you're not really even appreciating life and appreciating that you are alive and able to do this when there are other people not.
You're absolutely right. I mean, if I think about how many times I have said, or other people have said, when they say, "How are you doing?" "Oh, I'm so busy." Like, why do we do that? We're always talking about how busy we are. And I think that you're right. For me, one of the things I really try to do on a daily basis, multiple times in the day, is, especially if I start to have a thought that's annoying, right? If something that's troubling me, I try to say to myself, okay, I hear that. I'm going to let that go. But now I'm going to focus on 3 things that I'm grateful for, or 3 things that make me happy. So right now it's spring in Vermont, and I love this time of the year. My favorite time is really summer, but spring, when the leaves start to pop out on the trees and everything starts to green up, and I'm seeing and listening to birds and frogs and all that at night. So I start to notice those things more, to sort of distract myself away from things that might not be as positive to focus on.
Yeah, and it's so good to get out into nature. I feel, badly for people that just live in cities and can't get out and away.
Yeah, and having grown up in New York City, I can really relate to that. I was definitely a fish out of water there, and Central Park was not nearly as nice as it is today when I was growing up there. So luckily, I had friends who had country houses, and I was able to get away to a variety of different places. One of my favorites actually was Martha's Vineyard.
Oh, yeah.
Love the ocean.
So does it really have vineyards?
That's a funny question, because Dave just asked me that. Did I ever see a vineyard there? I think it must have at one time. And we were looking at the origin of, where did the name Martha's Vineyard come from? And I actually discovered that the man who named Cape Cod, because of the codfish, actually named Martha's Vineyard after his daughter, Martha.
Oh, yeah. Well,
So
maybe he had a vineyard.
I'm guessing there must have been. Yeah.
Because I was just thinking about here in British Columbia, we have lots of great wineries. not very far away, really. And, it's been a while since we've had this huge pandemic and nobody wanted to go anywhere and everybody was scared to death, so maybe it's time for another trip to the vineyards.
That sounds wonderful. It's amazing. We actually have vineyards here in Vermont. Well, I guess that's not so amazing if you have them in Canada, right?
Not so amazing.
Surprising, I guess.
But so you have them there in Vermont, or any particular? I mean, like in the interior of BC, they specialize in certain types of wines and.
Yes. So there is the one. So I actually have another program that I do through a nonprofit that I created, and this one is called the Vermont Farm Immersion Program. And that's where Dave and I are trying to inspire sort of the next generation of farmers or food entrepreneurs. So one of our field trips is actually to this vineyard of this man who started it when he was, I want to say like 70. It was just remarkable. And he's had it for about 15 years. And I think the grape that he grows there most often is Somerset, which is a red wine, I believe. And so I think most of the grape vineyards are wine related grapes. We tried growing a few table grapes, and I don't know why it didn't really go well for Dave, so we don't have them anymore. But some of these vineyards are pretty impressive and well established.
Yeah, they're beautiful in a funny way because, of course, they have to be kept so manicured that there's not this kind of wild buoyancy.
Exactly. And it was such a weird discovery that we learned that the Japanese beetles eating the leaves of the grape plants was actually beneficial because it allowed more sunlight to get onto the grapes. Now, normally, if that happens on your farm with vegetables and fruits, it's not a good thing. But with grapes, it works well.
Interesting. And, it's always interesting how different things, sort of things that can be considered tragic can be turned into positive events.
That's right.
Like, ice wine came from the fact in some of our climes where, it got too cold last night. Well, actually, it can be a magical time,
Oh, I love ice wine. We have this incredible farm show. Well, we did before the pandemic. I'm sure it'll be back. But on one of the nights that it's running, they call it consumer night. And then all these different food and drink purveyors come and do samples. And so that's how I discovered ice wine, was actually taking samples of it at the farm show. And oh my gosh, the sweet ones. I mean, I definitely prefer sweeter beverages, except for soda, but sweeter wines and sweeter, daiquiris and that kind of thing. So that you're right, but that's a great point. Turning something that is considered, not good and turning it into like making lemonade out of lemons.
Well, we were at one point in time, we moved on to a farm that we were turning into a horse farm because I said I had horses for a long time, but it had been a raspberry patch, right? And so we had some raspberries. Well, of course, we had massive amounts of raspberries. We didn't realize what 2 rows of raspberries would actually yield us when they have been professionally grown. So we made raspberry wine. Oh, that was yummy.
Ooh, I bet that was delicious.
Very fun.
That's wonderful.
Fun. Take advantage of what you can.
Right. Exactly. And I love growing our own food. It's even as a city girl, I was looking, I would grow things on sunny windowsills. And then once I got out of college and lived in Massachusetts, I kind of think of that as my interim period. Any place I could get to plant anything, I did. And now, for the past 13 years, I live on this amazing 40-acre organic farm.
So, I mean, and even, the chance that you have to plant things in your house or around your house or whatever, it just makes everything feel better when you can, walk outside and see wonderful things growing,
Totally. Well, speaking of growing indoors, I actually just got sprouting seeds again today to make salad sprouts to add to our salads because we're really starting to feel this call to want to eat a lot of salads. And so I have my little sprouter container and I'm soaking the seeds as we speak.
Well, there you go. And you can do that anywhere.
Exactly. You don't need sunshine for that.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, this has all been great. Is there anything else that you absolutely know people would love to know about what you do and your retreats and your farms and vision
Yeah.
boards?
Thank you. Yes. So I am starting two new programs, two online coaching mentoring programs. And one of them covers topics about, growing your own food, but also really making healthy choices about food and nutrition and connecting with nature. So that's one. And then the other one is around harmonious relationships. And these are two areas that I've spent a tremendous amount of time focused on in my own life, just learning as much as I possibly can. So I have some wonderful communication techniques that I've taught clients that have incredibly helped them connect with their significant people in their lives in such better ways to make their relationship so much more harmonious. So I'm just launching, excuse me as I spit, just launching those two programs, and that's on my website as well.
So your website is?
So my website is catalystforchangecoach.com.
Can you say that again? Something really happened with sound there. I'm not sure what.
Okay. Catalystforchangecoach.com.
Yeah, thank you. Because when you said it before, your voice had disappeared. So
it might be my internet for some reason does that.
Yeah.
Occasionally.
Okay, so Catalyst for Change
Coach.com. Right. And yeah, maybe we can put it in the comment section below wherever this is showing up.
Yeah, we can do that for sure. And that'll also allow people, I think you said, to get on with your vision board training for.
Right. For the vision board experience, there's a tab for the vision board page, there's the retreat page, and there's the coaching mentoring program page.
Great. And are any of the retreats available for other people, or are they all full for this year?
Nope, there is still space open.
Oh, cool.
Yep, we can accept 12 women. And I forgot to mention that the lodging is superb. It's this really luxurious inn. It's rated #1 on TripAdvisor for Vermont, actually, called the Round Bar Inn. Yeah, everyone gets their own room and lovely innkeepers, and they get an organic breakfast in the morning before we start our day.
Oh, wow. What a great place to get to hang out for a while.
Yeah, it is. Oh, it's so beautiful here, especially that time of year, August.
And I haven't been there, so.
Oh, very. Sounds like a trip is needed.
Sometime soon. Anyway, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. And thank you so much for being someone who really is making a difference.
Well, thank you so much, Mary. I appreciate it.
And now all I have to do